Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello and welcome to another episode. Today, I am interviewing Alexis, who is the founder of Fanfaire, which is a new way to sell balloons. As a balloon business owner, she saw a pain point that I think we're all familiar with, which is the back and forth with customers trying to finalize an order. So she launched Fanfaire recently at Float, and I'm so excited to bring you this interview where I learned more about this product that is available for all of us to simplify our selling of decor. Let's take a quick break and head to the UGlu Hotline and then jump into this episode with Alexis. Welcome to the UGlu Hotline, where we discuss great advice that sticks, brought to you by Pro Tapes. If you have a question or some great advice to share, click the link in the show notes to call in and leave a voicemail.
Hi there, this is Jen from Central Illinois Balloon Decor. I'm about 2.5 hours south of Chicago. I wanted to call in with a little tip that my husband actually discovered, since he helps me sometimes with installs on the weekends whenever he can. We recently just got a 2015 Tahoe. Before we were using a Honda CR-V, and we have two littles. And so now with the Tahoe, we're able to fold down that third row. But I wanted to share one of the tips that we have figured out, since we do use a lot of framework for our installations, whether it be a hoop or like one of the narrow arches. So what we do is we do not disassemble the entire thing. We just break it apart basically in 2 to 4 pieces, whatever will fit with that third row down. And then we actually leave the screws about halfway in. That way we don't have to bag them up separately or risk losing them. So whenever we go to throw it in the back of the car, we put the screw exactly where it's supposed to go and screw it about halfway in, just so it's stable enough and tight enough to stay in there. That way you don't risk losing it, and you save time when you go to break down or set up. Also, we've noticed that sometimes having it that way, you don't put it together a wrong way. Because if anybody has ever done framework with a lot of different pieces, you may know that some bars or pieces don't fit as well if they're not in the correct spot. So, hope this tip helps. Thanks. Bye.
Pro Tapes is a leading manufacturer of specialty tape products like Pro Gaff, Pro Artist Tape, and our favorite balloon tape, UGlu, which helps you create amazing balloon arrangements and decorations in less time. You can save 5% on UGlu when you buy directly from Havin A Party using code BRIGHT at checkout. All right, welcome to this episode, Alexis. I'm so excited to learn about your product, Fanfaire. You are the founder of this new platform service. I don't even know what to call it, but it is kind of changing the balloon game. So let's jump into this. Before we talk about Fanfaire, give us an introduction of you. Who are you, and how did you come to doing this techie platform, balloon-related stuff?
Hi, Sarah. Well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to talk with you too. I've been in tech for over a decade, working on very complex problems for large organizations and solving it through technology. And a few years ago, I started a balloon business because I have 2 daughters and I wanted their parties to be awesome. As a mom, you pour everything into your kids. And as I got going with that business, I fell in love with creating beautiful things. But what I discovered was the actual doing of business was really hard. And so I wanted to create something that helps people just like me. And I feel like this industry is just really a lot of moms who have a lot on their plate and they want to do things that they love to do, which is spend time with their kids and, create a beautiful event decor. And so if they can free up some of their time to not be bogged down with all of the back and forth with sometimes very difficult clients. I think I can do a lot of good in the world with that.
Yeah, I started as a face painter and then turned into balloon. Well, I started as a teacher, then a face painter, and then I found balloons. But I still to this day miss the ease of face painting because it was one thing. It was like, when do you want me to be there? Pay me money. Versus balloons, it's like, what do you want and what sizes and what colors? And now there's a new idea and where is it going to go and how are we going to hang it? Like, there is a lot of communication and anything to kind of lighten that burden on the front end because, right, like none of us got into this because we love sending emails. Like we all
Right.
started because we like the balloons. So
Exactly.
what is Fanfaire? And before, usually I give the plug of where to go and check it out at the end, but let's do that at the beginning. So when people are listening to you talk, they have a place to visualize and see what we're discussing. Where can people go to see Fanfaire in action?
Yeah, thank you. So Fanfaire, fanfaire.io/demo. So Fanfaire is an end-to-end solution. It is a platform. So we enable businesses to sell their very customized services via a web app, which we call the digital storefront. So you can go and play with it. We have our demo store called Pop Rocks on there. So you can play with that and see what your customers can experience. And additionally, there's the back end that we call the command center. And this is where you can configure your store, manage your bookings, track leads, and then curate options for, more VIP clients that need a little bit more of your vision.
So this is website, sales, e-commerce, invoicing, keeping track of stuff. Like this is all of it, right? This is a one-stop shop.
Yeah, it is all of it. Yes. But some of those terms are like so specific now. Like when you say what e-commerce is, it's really about selling a product that's one, like one of many. Like
Okay.
you have inventory of an item and you're tracking the inventory and the shipping of it. So I almost tried to coin the phrase service commerce because you're not selling balloons, you're selling the service of creating beautiful decor with balloons.
Yes. So e-commerce would be like if you had a kit that was like the same that you sold 30 of. But yeah, all of our stuff is like, I hate using the word custom because I think people overuse the word custom. I'm like, it's a balloon arch in different colors. But that is always very hard to communicate, especially in this click and buy type of situation. So that is essentially the problem that you have solved, right?
Yeah. So we're leading with visuals because it is so visual, right? And so we really want to push the envelope on how design comes to life. And so we have a way of visualizing step by step, like the client can choose, backdrops or, do they just want a balloon garland? What colors do they like? What colors go together? The image changes as they go. They can layer on, pedestals or other props. They can like write, happy birthday or put an LED sign on there. And so really build it out with a very simple way of doing it, as opposed to building it balloon by balloon in Canva. And the client can actually build it with the business.
Well, and I like that you said it changes as you go, because I think as visual and artistic people, it's like, well, look at this and just imagine it in blue. And they can't do it. They can't do it. So it's like, okay, let me rebuild this entire mock-up in blue because you can't see the difference between, pink and then imagine it in your colors. Like they want to see it.
And how many times have you blown up like 5 balloons and like try to take a picture of it in the right lighting, right, with your phone? And you're like, okay. And they're like, not that color, but this color. And they're like, no, I like the coral. I'm like, there's no coral in the picture. What are we talking about?
I'm like writing the names in Sharpie, like on the balloons and trying to like hold it up in the sun. I'm like, oh, the lighting's not great. I've totally done that.
Right. Yeah.
And this is, so it's built for, I mean, you are a balloon person building for balloon people. So talk about the colors. Are they in there? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So they're actual photos of the colors. And so for consumers, you need to have a palette that is, all encompassing of the styles they can do. So we group the colors by like boho retro or like neon or pastel or whatever, right? So we group them in familiar groups as well as all of the colors in one frame. But we use real brands like Tough Text, Sempertex. We have, a little bit of Colosix in there. We're thinking about putting in Calisan. So it is a very complete palette. When you have, for a consumer, you can't have more than one red in a spot, right? Like they're going to be like, why do I have 3 reds right next to each other?
Right.
You just have to pick the color. And then there is a hierarchy, but we allow the client to design. And then we tell the business with the booking what colors the client picked. So it's like, oh, they chose like Tough Text Blossom, or it was Sempertex Fashion White. So it's very easy for the business to know this is what the client booked. I'm not guessing what color's in the picture. This is the color that they picked.
Yeah. Or even guessing just based on their wording. Like I've had people, send me the most straightforward orders. And it's like, I want one garland in shades of pink. And it's like, okay. But then guess what? I got the pinks wrong because I didn't clarify. It's like shades of pink. Yeah. Let's use all of them. It's like, oh, actually, this one was too peach. This one is too bright. This one. So you do need that clarification. So now I've gone back to like actually making them choose by name. Otherwise, I'm going to guess and I'm going to, get it wrong, or best case scenario, I get it right, but I'm like second guessing the whole time that I'm building. So colors can be hard. Let's take a quick break. Now that we kind of know what this is, I want to talk about customization and how it works for different businesses with different needs. So we'll be right back. Are you ready to take your balloon business to the next level? Look no further than Havin A Party Wholesale, your ultimate destination for all things balloons. Havin A Party Wholesale is on the cutting edge of new products that will wow your clients, from top brands like Tuftex, Jamar, Anagram, Ellie's, Sempertex, Premium Conwin, and introducing Brookloon, a new balloon line created by the Havin A Party family. They've got the widest selection to fuel your creativity. Join the successful league of professional balloon artists who shop at havinaparty.com. All right. This sounds so cool. I've been clicking around on it. I've been seeing people kind of load it onto their websites, and I'm never like an early adopter of anything. Like I got an iPhone like 10 years after they came out, but I'm always like lurking in the shadows watching, and it looks very cool. But I think a lot of the argument would be like, my business is different. I have backdrops. I do this. I have rentals. I only use certain colors. So what is the level of customization for this platform?
Pretty customizable. So you simply turn on things that you have, or you add things that are not in there right now. So we're still an early stage company, and we have the color palette developed in there. And those are the options. End customer, the business doesn't have to choose to buy those colors, but we make it easy because it's like, we know that Tuftex blush and Qualitex blush are very different. Right. And so we can have those colors both in there, and the customer can choose one or the other. And you might want to have options for clients for certain looks. Right.
Yeah.
So we've curated a palette that is pretty broad, but in the future, we think we will allow businesses to say, I carry Sempertex, or I carry Calisan, or I carry Tuftex, and just show the palette that they want.
Okay.
But for now, to have more of a broad appeal, we show a wider range with different brands.
Okay. And if someone says, I want Qualitex red, any red's going to work, right? So like we get like, they don't actually know what we're using, but like it at least tells us what they want.
Yes. So in the receipt, it does not actually show the end client brand that is being used. It does show a picture of the backdrop, of course. So the backdrop should look, pretty darn close to what they're using, right? So the business can choose any of the backdrops that are already in our catalog, or some of our clients have sent us an image of something that they handmade. And so long as they can get an image that is clear, we can take that image and style it in the style that they do their balloons with that specific backdrop and put it into their store.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about the client as us. Like if I'm like, no, I have this custom thing that I made, it rents all the time, I can send that to you and you can put that into the catalog to be a rentable item?
Yeah. Yeah. It can be literally anything.
Very cool.
So even there's variations like those. Have you seen those bubble domes? They've become popular.
Yeah.
We have one client who has those. Another client was like, oh, I have one that's like, actually, it's like a bouncer inside of the bubble dome.
I just saw that the other day.
Yeah. We're like, oh, how fun. What kid wouldn't love that? And so we added the other version and how she styles it, because it's different than the other business that we're working with. So it's like, you want to be able to amplify your own style and the items that you have, but maybe you're going to borrow from people in the industry because that's what consumers are really after right now. And so you want to, turn those items on as well.
Yeah, that's a value too. Like I don't have to buy a bubble bouncer and style it and take a photo of it. I can just use one that already exists in the catalog. Cool. Yeah. Cool.
And then we have a huge catalog of like other props and specialty items. So like marquee letters, pedestals, fringe. You can layer other backdrops. So sometimes people will just do like a really elaborate balloon garland, but then they want to put in one of those tiara walls in front of it. So like people will want to play with layering and styling to achieve the look that they're going for. And
And
so
can you run a really simple business? Like my business is very simple. I make most of my money doing garlands, columns, and arches. And now I have marquee letters. Can you have this with like 5 items?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
keep it
cool.
simple. It's better to keep it a little bit more simple because too much choice for the end consumer can be overwhelming. And
Hmm.
so if you know your bread and butter is garlands, like also have a balloon business. I don't know if I mentioned that, but
Yep.
I think I mentioned that earlier. Sorry. But I mostly sell like a combination of 2 backdrops, a greenery wall, and a lot of 12 to 15-foot garlands. Like
Yeah.
that is our bread and butter. Right. And so that's what people mostly book on our digital storefront.
Okay. Let's take another break. And then I want to loop back to something you just mentioned, which is customer communication. That's something that I'm super passionate about. I think that you can be an okay balloon artist and make a ton of money if your communication is on point. So let's take a quick break and then talk about how you have kind of changed the game in terms of what customer communication looks like.
I know a little something about you. I know you're a business owner. I know you're in the balloon decorating space. I want to tell you about the Balloon Suite Mastermind. This is a group of business owners just like you who are focused on overcoming their current challenges and reaching their sales goals. In a business mastermind, you get access to peer support, the networking with other members. We help you with accountability on your action items and goals. You learn a lot and you solve problems so that you can overcome those roadblocks that you're looking at right now in your business. The Balloon Suite Mastermind is included in most of the packages we offer at Balloon Suite, and I would love to have you come on over, check out our packages, and join the mastermind. Come to balloonsuite.com to learn more.
All right. Welcome back. Communication. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around this because so many of us kind of have built our businesses on the back and forth, the thing that you said just sucks the life out of all of us, right? Now, we're moving away from that on Fanfare. Like, what does the communication actually look like? If people pick their items, customize them, put them in their carts, and check out, how and when are you actually interacting with your customers?
Yeah. So there's a few ways that people sell with Fanfare. So one is the digital storefront where a consumer finds you. A lot of my business is spread through word of mouth. So a consumer comes on, they discover what they like, they design, they book. That is a great opportunity for the business to call them and be like, hey, I am so excited about your bridal shower. I'm going to be there this Saturday at this time. How are you feeling about your wedding planning? Let me build a little bit of rapport with the customer. And they're like, oh my gosh, this was such an amazing experience. I've booked what I wanted online. I'm confident of the business delivering, and I'm excited for them to show up to do my event. Right. And so
Yeah.
all the interactions with that client are centered around the excitement for them in their moment that they're having in their life. People book us for really special moments, bridal showers, baby showers, their kid's birthday, a milestone 50th birthday, right? They are excited about their event. They don't want to be haggling with us over the pricing. And
Hmm.
so when someone discovers a business and they send an inquiry form and they don't hear back right away, they will call another business. And before you've even had a chance to respond, you're in a bidding war and you don't even know it.
Mm.
They're price shopping. And how many times when they don't like your price, but they want your services, does the customer throw in your face, okay, well, I'm requesting another quote from somebody else, right?
Yeah, I've
Like,
called people
wow.
back and I've literally had them be like, which one are you again? And it's like, oh gosh, like you don't even know
Right.
who you're talking to because you've reached out to so many companies.
Right. So there are clients so in my business, I have the digital storefront where someone could just go buy online, but I also leave contact info for them to reach out to me. So if they
Okay.
call me, I pick up the phone and I'm like, hey, I would love to do your event. Have you seen our guided buying experience? They will go on or they'll cut me off. No, I know what I want. I have this inspiration pick. Awesome. Send it to me.
Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
Make it easy. Boom. Great. They're excited and you're meeting them at their excitement and they're like, okay, well, can I get this quote by Tuesday? Like, no, I'm going to send it to you in 20 minutes. And they're like, what? And
Yeah.
so they're excited. So from my phone, I can curate options and variations of not only what the picture they sent me, but other things that I think they should do in that space. So I can
Okay.
upsell them with maybe, an easel with balloons for the front door or something for the centerpieces for the tables. Or, hey, I know this rental space at this restaurant over here. So a lot of my clients will do this garland on the doorway or whatever, right? So I can make recommendations for them. They can see it. They can make edits to the designs, or they can just cancel items that they don't want and simply check out. And like they're excited and they see it and they fall in love with, oh, wow, like I'm a part of the process. I can make these edits. I can add on more things. I can remove things. And I am now getting customers booking within hours of talking to me as opposed to days and price comparing and all this. They're like,
Yeah.
this is easy. I know what I'm getting. I know what I'm paying for, and I'm ready to book.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so then how are you actually sending them that? Is it like, do you have a Gmail account that you're like popping a quote into, or like what's the
No,
actual means
no.
of
It is
communicating?
a link I text them. It
Okay,
is
and then it's
a
all
shopping
housed
cart.
in Fanfare.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry,
I
I'm like
keep
a
a
nuts and
record.
bolts person. I'm like
I
trying to
know,
figure
right?
out like what's the actual mechanism that like gets
Yeah.
them the
So
thing. Okay,
I curate it and I'm in designer mode.
okay,
I send it to them in a link, and now they are basically looking at a live cart that they can go edit. As they edit it, I can see all the changes. So I
okay,
know I can see on my command center, I can see they viewed it at this time. I can go into the cart and see what changes they've made. I can see if they've started to check out, but they didn't complete it. So maybe they started to enter in their contact info, but they didn't fully book it. And so I know what stage they're at. And then if I can follow up, if they haven't booked right away, hey, did you need more help? Did you need more options? Like, how can I help you, finalize your details for your event?
yeah. So if there's like a $3,000 order sitting in someone's cart, you can be like, hey, you want to buy that?
Yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
call me so we
But
can
we
close
can
this?
be on the same page, and I can kind of understand some context of where they're at. Maybe
Yeah,
they're discussing it with their spouse, or, they're finalizing details with other event planners and they want to, make sure that they really love what we're doing. Um,
interesting.
and so if it's like, hey, you're not sure about those things, let me go create a new iteration to help you out. But it takes me minutes. I would talk to them on the phone. I'd be texting, emailing, sending pictures, like doing all this back and forth. And sometimes I'm like out with my family and my husband's like, I'm wrangling these kids. You've been MIA for 90 minutes doing this. And then I get home and I still have to do the mock-up and like make my professional looking proposal with, my logo, and make it all, double check that my pricing's right, run it by my partner, right?
Right.
Like, this is a lot of time wasted when the client might ghost me. If
Mm-hmm.
I have my pricing fully dialed in and my designs, I can send it off in a few minutes and I don't have to check with my partner. I know that I'm close to what the customer wants, and it's some final adjustments, and they can go fulfill the order, complete the order on their own,
And they can see it.
and they see it.
I think that's a big difference between sending an invoice with a list of things and like the visuals. That's where the visuals are where I lose a lot of time, because like, here's what like I said already, here's what an arch looks like. And they're like, well, can you put it in our colors? It's like,
Yeah.
no, not easily. Like that's not a thing that exists, but it sounds like now it does, which is very
Yeah.
cool.
But would you
Neat.
ever historically mock up a garland? No. You're like, I'm not going to go mock up a balloon garland. Like, here are the colors.
Right.
Imagine it.
Especially because it's like not for $100. I mean, I know that's a lot to a mom for a birthday party, but for us, it's like, I'm not going to do a mock up for like a bouquet. Like it's just, that's insane, but interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then one thing that also happens, I'm assuming, is like they can see their total adding up. So does this eliminate kind of those budget conversations that you were talking about?
Yeah.
I guess what I'm assuming happens is that like they don't think your prices are just made up. Because I think a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, that'll be $500. It's like, what's that based on? They don't know. But if it's in an online type of store that they're a little bit more familiar with, no one's arguing prices with Amazon. It costs what it costs. So I think people are
Right.
used to that. So the prices and the total, I'm assuming, just calculates as they build.
Exactly. So you put in the parameters in the command center. This is what I'll charge per foot, or like, this is what it's going to be. Like if it's, classic decor, all 11 inches, it's this price. But if I'm going to do like 4 sizes, it's this more organic built out look, it's going to be more, right? So you built out a real, I guess it's a consistent pricing matrix
Yeah.
so that the customer understands what it costs. And so if you've ever, like, people think, oh, the pricing's going to go down if I do it like this. And you're like, no, it's more.
Right.
Why is that? Now they can see in the picture. And so they have the ability to select like more or fewer sizes, and they see the picture change and the price change. So they understand what it means when they make changes to the design. And so there's no negotiating. It's like, if they want to reduce the price, adjust your design down like
Yeah.
this.
Right.
And
Like they see
so,
a little short garland and they think like, oh, well, that's one garland. It's like, but there's like foils in there and there's a million jumbos. And this is actually like four garlands stacked on top of each other. Like it's not linear feet. So I think that's really hard to sell. But yeah, it makes sense.
right,
If they can see it changing, they ultimately decide what they get.
right. And so when people buy digitally, if you think about like booking a vacation rental or even like buying food online, you don't want surprises at the end, right? When you have a big fee at the end, people will X out of the app and they move on with their day and they've got to like really go think about it. We want to make it easy for people to get from start to finish. And so when you front load the pricing, you know, every time you deliver a backdrop, you have to go pick it up. You own that item, you're renting it out, right?
Hmm.
So we front load those fees. And then the additional fees that are being added on are like they're adding foils and they know, okay, if I add these foils or flowers, it's going to cost this, but they see like the changes based on what they're adding in that moment. And at the end, we encourage, you know, most people to either offer like a free delivery zone. Maybe it's like I'm in LA, 5 miles is like enough, right?
Hmm.
But if there's additional distance, that is a very valid reason to charge the customer. Hey, I've got to go 20 miles. I've got to go 30 miles. That time there and back is going to cost me. And so you're going to pay that additional fee. But there's no other like, you know, really like detailed add-on fees because all of the pricing is loaded into the cost of that item.
Okay.
You know that when you assemble a shimmer wall, it's going to take you a lot of time. And so you build that into the cost of the rental fee, right?
Neat. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
gonna say like, oh, I'm charging on another 2 hours. They're gonna be like, wait, what are all these fees happening at the end?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree. I hate fees. I always try to build them into my products as much as possible, but I'm learning the hard way with marquees that it's not just the delivery and the there and back. It's like you said, if there's more letters, it's exponentially more work. It's not just like multiplied by however many letters. It's like, well, now I need to rent a truck and now I need extra help and now I need the stacking rack and now I want to die. It gets harder and harder and harder. So it's not like just this one little fee at the end. So that has been a learning curve for me. Okay, so let's assume this is up and running, all the orders are coming in. Where do they go? Like, what does that look like? And how, like, now I'm to the point where I have to like do the job. Is there someplace I go to see all the invoices? Are those on my calendar? Like, what happens after someone buys on my end?
Yeah. So the client and the business get a calendar invite that's detailed with like, what is the setup time? What is the event start time? Right. We reserve the right to adjust the setup window because, you know, if you're going to drop off a garland, you can do that in like 5 or 15 minutes. But if you
Hmm.
have a more elaborate setup, you may need more time. So you may need to adjust the invite. So the job of the business really becomes time management and order fulfillment. So like managing your calendar to ensure that you can stack up like a couple events that all start at noon, but you may need more people or different staggered setup times, right?
Yeah.
So all of the booking information, including what products you need, goes into the command center. Forget about the concepts that you have around like proposals and invoices. That you don't send an invoice when you're buying a shirt online. It's a final payment link, right? And so
Okay.
all of that is stored within Fanfare and you can just send the client the final payment link. It's interesting because some businesses want to send the final payment link before they ever show up. And then in my business, I send it like right after I've set up and they're satisfied with what I've delivered.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So
Because
you're not
sometimes
getting any money up front?
I collect 50% up front
Okay.
and then the final 50% after I've set up, because sometimes people are like, oh, can you add this on by the door? Of course I can, right? I'm right
Mm,
here. I want to add that on. I'm going to take that money and I want the final payment to be the full amount. That also, like, I think it's just like good for trust with clients, but I totally get that some businesses want to accept it before they show up. And so they can send that final payment link at any time, but it shows up the card again with the image of the item that the client ordered. And it's like, it feels very trustworthy because it's clear. This is what I've ordered. This is the final amount due. It's just 2 seconds and it's done.
neat. Yeah. I've always thought about it the other way. Like you want to collect ahead of time because you don't want to get stiffed. But yeah, then I'm always adding stuff for free because they're like, can you just like fill in there? I'm like, okay. And then I'm like adding extra clusters just
Yeah.
because I'm standing there. But yeah, this is like, yeah, absolutely. I can add whatever you want and I'm going to bill you for it without
Yeah.
sending like a completely new additional invoice. Oh, that's an interesting take. Okay, let's take one final break. And then I want to talk about what this looks like to get started because I'm pretty techie and I'm a little overwhelmed. So let's make it as easy as possible for people who are interested. Hey listeners, before we wrap up today's episode, let's talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Balloon Guild. Do you ever see amazing balloon decor online and wonder, how did they make that? The Balloon Guild is revolutionizing the industry by standardizing recipes, SOPs, and offering unparalleled training. Their mission? To elevate balloon artists worldwide, ensuring efficiency, profitability, and unparalleled professionalism. For business owners and their teams, the Balloon Guild isn't just a resource, it's a game changer for growth and development. For me, it's been the ultimate shortcut in finally getting things out of my head and onto paper, so I'm not making things up on the fly, and so my team can work together to create consistent, fast decor. Visit their platform today at theballoonguild.com or by using the link in the show notes. New recipes and resources are released every month. All right, welcome back. I'm impressed. This sounds like a great solution for a lot of us, but what does that look like? What's our timeline? If someone is listening and they're like, this sounds amazing, like what's the timeline? What's the workload? Because a lot of things, like even launching a website, can take people a year. So what does this look like from the balloon artist standpoint?
Yeah. So if they've played with the pop rocks, they understand the concept. And then we also have a clickable demo on our website, that initial link, fanfaire.io/demo, where people can see what the command center does. So usually we spend a little bit of time with the client up front, onboarding them so they feel comfortable that they know what to do where. And then we turn on a guide that guides them, hey, enter in, this information here. Where people get hung up on is when they're unsure about their pricing. So we make it easy with multiple, so they can bulk price like the garlands by the foot. So you can bulk price that so it pulls from the same matrix so your pricing is consistent. And then they just put those details per item in there and simply turn the items on. So day one, they can get dropped into their trial account and they can configure their store in under an hour. Add their logo, add some pictures. Day two, it's really like testing. We have them in test mode so they can go all the way through the guided buying experience and feel like, okay, this looks like my brand, my pricing looks right, my friends and family say they like it looks good. Then they can fully go live. They connect their Stripe account so they can get paid, right? Okay. And then really after that, it's more of just like a final tweaking and tuning as they go, and that their business is going to evolve anyway. So maybe they want to offer new items, or, they were really thinking about building a disco ball wall and they want to add that. So they can add a picture of that and put that right into their store. So it's really up and running very quickly. They can deploy it via a link on their Instagram. It can be a full website replacement. It could be a book now button on their website. So okay, that was one of my questions because I love my website. I just redid it and I don't have to ditch that to integrate this. It's like a little portal, like a little link to the Fanfaire site. Yeah. So think of Fanfaire as like a guided buying experience, like its own little app within your website. It can, so I use it just as my whole website because I don't really want to have like all this other stuff on there, but some websites are beautifully designed. Mm-hmm. And so people don't want to let go of that, and they shouldn't. Leave it. It looks beautiful. Add your, maybe you have blogs or other things that you want to, share with your customers, leave it. But if you can just guide them to go book now, then you can simplify your back and forth with your clients with Fanfaire. Very cool. Interesting. Yeah. I'm like, my brain is spinning and I'm still feel like I have all these questions, but I don't want to overwhelm. So who listening do you think can benefit from this the most? So it's interesting. So a lot of our early customers were people who have been in business for a long time and they are just exhausted and they need more time back in their day. Mm-hmm. As we've opened up a new tier that's only $99 a month. And we've seen a lot of people who are just getting started in their business and they still have their day job. And so they want the relief of not feeling like, shoot, I can't answer the phone. I'm at work and I want to get back to this client and get this booking. And I really want my full-time job to be my, event decor business, but I've got to keep the lights on with my day job. And so I'll get back to them after work and they miss bookings. And so if they have the way to get the client's questions answered, like, are you available for my date? That's the first thing that shows up, right? What does it cost? All of those questions are answered for clients there. And so if they can shoot them a text, hey, I'd love to do your event, right? This helps people who are just getting started or people who have been in business for a long time. And anybody who's open to, selling digitally. Yeah. So hopefully benefits a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just are fresh off the float vendor room. How did that go for you? Was that fun? Was it overwhelming?
It was a great time. Yeah. We had a great time at Float. We met a lot of people, but that vendor hall, like all of the decor in there, it was like
It was a lot.
like its own special event inside. But yeah, it went well.
Have you gotten any early feedback? Because how long had you been around? How long, I should have started with this question, but how long has Fanfare been serving balloon people?
So we've been building the product for a year and a half.
Okay.
We officially launched at Float, but we had some early adopters ahead of Float.
Okay.
So it's only been a couple months.
Okay. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going great. Yeah.
Good.
The perception that we get when people see a demo, they're like, oh yeah, I gotta have that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's how I was like, what is this? I think even I posted a thing on Instagram being like, someone help me identify what this is. I don't know what to call this. And like a million people commented like, reach out to Fanfare. And here we are. Well, I'm a fan of you. I'm a fan of what you are doing for our industry. Anyone who can make it easier, I'm a fan of. So thank you. And obviously you're very open to feedback as you continue to grow, which is the advantage of some of those early adopters, I would imagine.
Yeah. We really want to serve the needs of our customers. And so we continue to make tweaks. It's interesting, even like in 2 months, the product continues to change and evolve. And so who knows where we'll be even in 6 months to a year from now, but customer feedback is the most important feedback because we want to make them successful.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was great. And remind us one more time where we should go to learn more.
Yeah, go to our website, fanfare, fanfaire.io, or follow us on Instagram at fanfare.io.
Very cool. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. Our presenting sponsor is 17 Hats, the CRM I use to cut the chaos and manage my entire balloon business. From the lead capture form on my website to workflows and email templates, invoicing and grab-and-go garland automated bookings, it's all powered by 17 Hats, the best customer relationship management system for balloon businesses. There's even a 50% off coupon code waiting for you in the show notes wherever you're listening. I'll see you next week in another episode.